What's going on, people? It's your boy DontPettheCammyChad. It's time to talk about the new album from British indie folk singer-songwriter Jake Bugg. It's called Hearts That Strain. Now, Jake Bugg is a singer from Nottingham who broke through with his 2012 debut entitled Jake Bugg. And both his first two albums I thoroughly enjoyed. First one a little stronger than the second, but songs like Seen It All, Simple As This, Storm Passes Away, all absolute belting tracks. This was kind of a new force, kind of on the indie rock scene, but kind of country vibes and stuff as well. Started out when he was just 18, so he followed those albums up with the album On My One, which was his third album. Essentially, he ditched all the secondary writers and took all the writing onto himself for this third album. Now, this third album came quite a while after the second, and ditching the co-writers, man, was not the best move. This was perhaps one of my least favorite albums of the year that it came out. There were hip hop. I'm not even gonna go into it. There was hip hop. There was Marvin Gaye B-sides. There was some bullshit. All right, but please don't listen to that record. And even though, like, I forget sometimes that he had the first two good records behind him, but that album is that just all over the place, and it just kind of feels uninformed. That I've just lost all sort of faith in Jake Bugg. So going into this album, I wasn't expecting much. Now, this album, as is kind of evident from the album cover, which is kind of grey and kind of boring, is a more consistent effort. It's supposed to be a bit more earthy. But yeah, preceding this album was the single which I actually heard. I'm surprised I heard it, to be honest, because even the marketing going up to this album kind of seemed like it was accepting defeat already. But I heard the first song, How Soon the Dawn, before it came out. Didn't love the track on first listen, but hearing this track in the context of the album kind of opened it up to me. This is probably my favorite track on the album. It kicks off with kind of like these like shuffly Latin style drums, kind of the softly strummed kind of Latin acoustic guitar. It's kind of a bit like a classical guitar, and this kind of light-hearted, bittersweet voice over the top just really came together on this track. It kind of felt like the country songs which should have been on this album. I love the harmonica on the outro as well. Kind of feels, you can tell it's kind of new, but but at the same time, kind of the sound of the harmonica kind of reminds me of Animal Crossing a bit, but in a good way, because I fucking love Animal Crossing. But yeah, it kind of kicks off with this kind of oldie worldy feel, and I really like that about this record. And then going into the second track as well, one I hadn't heard prior to the album, Southern Rain. I was pleasantly surprised with this one as well. I kind of think of this track as kind of like the anti-version of the first track. It kind of takes on, like, How Soon the Dawn is kind of the start of a love relationship. Obviously, this whole album, Hearts That Strain, it's going to focus on relationships and stuff. But it kind of feels like a relationship that's gone the wrong way. Maybe he's having feelings for some other person. And the lyrics, for the most part, form kind of a cohesive structure. One of the things I'm going to say about this album is that his vocals don't seem to have progressed or do anything interesting on the album that I wouldn't expect from a Jake Bugg album or from his first album. But kind of he handles this kind of soaring hook quite well. It's fairly catchy, and I like the emotion he brings to this track. But I'm just going to go right in and say it. This album does not get any better after the first two tracks. I've pretty much added these first two tracks to my playlist and just ditched the rest. I'm going to go into it a bit, but if you want the short version of the review, then that is it. It is these first two tracks, and you're not going to gain much else. There's a few, instrumentals that I like and stuff, but really, I'm going to go into some of the other tracks, because maybe you're interested. There's a track with Noah Cyrus in there. I'm going to go into that. But really, I don't feel like I need to say that much in this review, because truly a lot of it is what you would expect. Now, since I've mentioned it, the track with Noah Cyrus, Miley Cyrus's sister, shit, it's a girl. Noah is a boy's name, though. That just confused me. Anyway, the track with Noah Cyrus entitled Waiting, it's kind of refreshing to hear someone else's voice on this record, especially since, like, yeah, obviously, it's a folk album. You're going to have one person on it usually, so the last 3 Jake Bugg albums have just had Jake Bugg on it, but it's nice, especially when his vocals are getting kind of tired and just boring by this point of the album, even though it's only like the 4th track. It is kind of refreshing to hear someone else's voice and someone else's take on this record, so I can kind of see the interest in this track. But really, the songwriting is not good on this track. The chorus is, I like many on this album, it's just like one two words, just like one line repeated with each vocalist, and it's like they're trying to play out the two vocalists thing. Like it's almost like they're aware that that's the only appeal in this track. I mean, there are two saxophones. Two sax. I mean, that's a bit weird. That I'm gonna admit, when I put my earphones in and I listen to this track, I was like, I'm not expecting two saxophone solos. But as far as their purpose, I'm not too sure about it. The song kind of sounds like a like something off Ed Sheeran's newest album, like Dive or something like that. It's got kind of this like bluesy tone to it, which and then the saxophones mixed with that. I don't know, man. And then it kind of abruptly ends at the end of the sax solo. Like it's literally like they wrote like a chorus and a verse, and we're just like, yeah, might as well fill the rest of the space with some sax solos. We've got a saxophone lying around the corner. Let's use that. I mean, I'm not saying I don't like the saxophone solos. I will kill for a saxophone solo, but truly, I don't know what purpose these serve. And then from there, we get this kind of drawl of other tracks. The song "The Man on Stage" kind of intrigued me with its title. Maybe I thought, because we don't hear much from actual Jake Bugg's perspective in many of his albums, really. So when I saw this "The Man on Stage" title, I was like, oh, maybe he's doing a little self-portrait, because he's quite into Dylan. Maybe he's doing that kind of thing. But no, this is a really, really fucking bleak take on a love ballad thing about a guy on stage. We don't get any detail about this. It's just a guy on stage that does things, basically stealing his girl, and he's pretty pissed off about that. And this song, with its kind of drawly piano, just kind of, it verges on easy listening at this point. But it just sounds like the kind of thing your grandma would put on in the car on the way to a fucking Sunday buffet lunch. And so many other tracks on this album are so ploddy. The song This Time is the most ploddy thing. It's so weird because it starts off with this kind of acoustic guitar, and I'm kind of thinking at this point, okay, maybe he's just stripping things back, just him and a guitar, but then like the rest of the instrumentals kick in the chorus, and they don't go away, and the rest of the song just sounds like one fucking bloated chorus, like someone's just pumped air into it, and every line is like so far away from the other, and none of it's really saying anything. It's like blowing up like a blow up beach ball, which is just white and just it hasn't got very much kickability about it. It's really a pointless track, and I don't dig the instrumentals. They don't add anything. Kind of my issue with this album is that when it tries to do stripped back, it doesn't do stripped back enough. Like, it ends up, it's like songwriters these days have some kind of issue with just he's a folk artist. Why not just give him a guitar and let him do the song? For some reason, there are guitars, and there are more guitars in the background. There's drums, there's piano in most of these tracks, and they really don't need to be there. I mean, essentially, yeah, it would draw more. It probably because it'd draw more attention to the kind of the poor songwriting. I mean, obviously there is a bit of variety. Like the song "Burn Alone's" kind of like a darker, meaner cut. But really, I think the hook is just the words "burn alone." Like, really, in the way of variety, this album lacks quite a bit. The last two tracks do kind of breathe a little bit more energy back into the album. The song "Every Color in the World" kind of has this interesting lyrical concept. Yeah, it takes till the end of the album for us to get an interesting lyrical concept. But yeah, it kind of has this concept of when you're not with someone, like all the calls are gone, and then when they come, they can choose when they want to put all the calls back into the world. Kind of interesting take on the way in which people view the world differently when they've got a significant other. I quite like that. But the track itself, it lacks any sort of compelling hook. It's like, oh, you've got one last chance to kind of, bellow out some great hook, and it's just not there. The song "Bigger Lover" as well has a bit of potential. He kind of does like this kind of really fast rap singing. It's not really rapping, but like rap singing, fast singing in the verses, which I quite like. It's kind of like maybe you learnt something from Ain't No Rhyme off the last album, but no, it falls kind of into the same mediocrity as the rest as soon as you hit the first hook. So yeah, that's kind of all I have to say about this album. If you're a Jake Bugg fan, you'll probably enjoy it because it's his voice, it's his songwriting. But really, for people who if you didn't enjoy the first two Jake Bugg albums, you certainly are not going to enjoy this. I was really hoping for kind of like a grassroots bluegrass country album here. He really doesn't pull through in the way that he pulled through with kind of the bluesy sound on Shangri-La. I just feel like the louder songs that are supposed to be quite emotive don't have enough kind of oomph about the instrumentals, and the instrumentals don't vary enough, and there's nothing in there that compels me through the hook to feel anything. And then on the more stripped back songs where it's just him and lyricism, there isn't like enough stripped back. Even if there's no instrumentation, there's just like mindless background noise. and like sound effects, and it's really unsettling. Yeah, 4 out of 10 for this album. Lacks emotion. I don't enjoy it. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed, hit that like button. If you want to subscribe to see more reviews, which I hope to do in the future, please subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next review.